All right, these questions 18 and 19, I can't remember which one anybody missed, but some team missed at least one of these, if not both of these. So let's practice. We're using concepts related to economic profit and accounting profit, and so I'm again in the wrong. Okay, let's keep track of what we're going to need to know. Well, Juliana is selling 18 handbags at $100 each, and so her total revenue is $1,800, otherwise known as $1,800. The materials used to make each handbag cost $50, and this is an explicit cost. So there's no other explicit costs in there. It's her own labor, and she's not apparently paying herself a wage. The total explicit costs 50 times 18. That's 900. And then the total implicit costs, I should EX. The implicit costs are, let's see, this. She's using the spare room for her office, so she doesn't have it as a guest room, and we suppose we know that she'd be willing to pay $250 more rent if she could get a place that had room for a guest room as well as her office. So that losing that guest room is an implicit cost of $250 a month. These are all monthly. And then she would have been working at Trader Joe's, and she could have made $800. So she's got implicit costs of $1,050, right? 800 plus 250, 1,050. All right. So accounting profit. Now that we have all that information, again, it's knowing which information, how to put it together. Once we figure that out, it's an easy problem. But it doesn't mean it was an easy problem. It's just that the hard part was figuring all that out. Total revenue minus explicit cost. That's how we define accounting profit. 1,800 minus 900 is 900. So the answer to 18 is 900. And then this is accounting profit. If we calculate economic profit, is total revenue minus all costs. I'll just put total costs with no subscript. That means all costs. And that would be 900 plus 1,050. That's 1,950. 1,950. So 1,800 minus 1,950 is negative 150. That's her accounting profit. All right. So this is just practice. There's a bunch more practice in the concept checks, and then the Connect homework will have 2 or 3 at least like this, and practice them. You want to be good at those. All right. So again, this is another. I think people missed both. Some people missed 20 and some people missed 21. I'm trying to move 21 so it's the same size as 20. All right. Back to my pen. So let's see what we got here. They refer to the following figure. The figure depicts the short-run market equilibrium in a perfectly competitive market and the cost curves for a representative firm in that market. Assume that all firms in this market have identical cost curves. So notice that the market price is 8. It's a short-run situation. We'll see in a moment. And notice that at that market price, each firm sells 30, and that price is greater than average total cost. Turns out firms are making a short-run profit. Remember that this vertical distance tells us the profit per unit, and the horizontal distance from the origin out to the quantity tells us the quantity. Well, the average profit times the number of units, the profit per unit times the number of units gives us total profit. So we can see that profits are positive in the short run. Now watch out, this isn't what the question's about, but notice that I'm calculating profits, the price minus the average total cost at the output level we're at. That's not the minimum average cost level. That's true when marginal costs and average total costs are equal. That's sort of, as we'll see, the long run equilibrium price, that's true. But the short run profits or losses, the average total cost is not the same as the minimum average total cost. We're at a different output than the minimum average total cost output. So be careful. That's like the number one error on these kinds of problems when I ask for profits that students make. All right, back to the question. Long run equilibrium market quantity in this industry is which one? More than 700, 700, 500? Well, what's going to happen in the long run? We need to know that. Firms are going to see this industry, and I can't remember what it doesn't tell us which industry, but firms elsewhere in the economy are going to say, wow, I'm stuck here making normal rate of return, say 8% per year on my equity. And firms over in that sector are making 12 or 15%. Well, over time, I'm going to want to go and make 12 or 15%, not 8%. I want to make profits, and the big profits are over in that sector. Well, this is going to cause entry in the long run. In the short run, where the number of firms is fixed, but in the long run, it can increase. Well, with entry, I'll write my entry in red. More firms are going to come into this market, and that's going to shift the supply curve to the right. Remember, we count up market supply by looking at the firm supply and multiplying out horizontally by the number of firms in the industry, if each firm is identical. If they're not, we just count up the output of each firm at each price and get the market supply curve. Anyway, supply curve is going to shift to the right, and as that happens, the market price is going to go down. Well, how much entry is going to happen? Well, firms are going to keep entering as long as there's positive profit. Only when profits have been driven down to zero would firms stop entering. So the long run equilibrium, the new long run equilibrium, is going to occur at S prime, where notice the market price is 5 and the market output is 500. Firm level output is 25. So long run equilibrium quantity is 500. Really pay attention to this one. This is the critical skill in Chapter 7. A starting assumption about this industry was that all of the firms in the market had identical cost curves. This assumption is unrealistic because each firm is unique. In the real world, sort of. I didn't get a challenge on this one, but I probably would have entertained that challenge, because in the real world, things aren't as pretty as in our models. So A is a contender. Unrealistic because firms closely guard the details of their production processes. Remember that we're studying the competitive model, and we've assumed that all firms, all consumers have perfect information. So for this model, that's one assumption. Another assumption, firm information is pretty well known. There's patents or public information. There's movement of labor from one firm to another. So it's firms know a lot about what each firm is doing. Once you're in industry, you'll subscribe to industry magazines that share information about the processes. That kind of information is really hard to keep secret. Realistic, because firms rarely seek out cost savings. That's ridiculous. If you're in a competitive sector especially, but even if you're not, the cost saving innovation is, you've got to keep up or you're out of business. So C is out. Realistic, because any cost saving innovation adopted by one firm will be quickly adopted by others. That's absolutely true. And even a patented cost-saving innovation, you would pay for access to that process, and whoever invented that process and had the monopoly rights would earn some economic rents, which are different than profit in a way that's described in our reading. We'll do some work on that too. So, this is the kind of question that you can challenge, because in the real world, the unrealistic, because each firm is unique, would, it's not what the authors intended, but I would probably be sympathetic to the challenge on that question. Just the future challenge, you got nothing to lose, may as well. Let's go on. Efficiency is an important goal because when markets are efficient, there's less income. No, this is one of the problems. We care about equity and efficiency, and there's nothing in the action of the market that's rewarding goodness and punishing evil, or is promoting equality and discouraging inequality. No, the efficiency is a separate goal than equity. There are more resources available to achieve other goals. Well, there you go. But the poor benefit more than the wealthy? No, actually, the wealthy, money makes money, right? If you have money, you can invest in other endeavors. You can make more money. If you're poor, you can earn your labor income, but you don't have any investments probably, and you're not going to be earning money from those. There is no need for government intervention in the economy. We're going to see that markets fail in many ways, and there's potentially areas that the government could improve outcomes, potentially, because the government can also screw up outcomes. Anyway, the argument here, and you saw it in your reading, is that efficiency isn't the only goal, but if we're concerned about efficiency and equity, doing things efficiently yields more well-being, more benefits that we can then redistribute. So we've got a bigger pie to share, and that makes it easier to promote equity. If you impose a lot of inefficiency, you're going to end up with a much smaller set of economic well-being, and that's going to be harder to spread around and address equity concerns.